Welcome back to Bodhi Unified Flow, where we simplify complexity and amplify performance. Let's jump right in. Today, we're embarking on a pretty fascinating journey into the foundations of behavioral change. Specifically, we are diving deep into the neuroscience of goal setting. Now, you might be wondering, what's the actual biological difference between just really wanting something, that fleeting desire, and possessing a profound, unshakable state of resolve? Well, in ancient traditions, that unshakable state is called Adhitthana, or true determination. So let's explore exactly how your brain processes the feeling of wanting versus the actual mechanics of doing.
Here's the structured journey we're taking today. First, the trap of fleeting desire. Second, Adhitthana, the neuroscience of determination. Third, the aMCC, the seat of will. Fourth, rewiring for lasting resolve. And we'll wrap it all up with a summary and our references.
So, what's in it for you? By the end of this explainer, you're going to walk away with a crystal clear understanding of the neurobiological difference between simply craving a result and being truly determined to achieve it. You're going to learn about a specific, incredibly powerful brain hub called the aMCC and why it is absolutely crucial for pushing through adversity. And, most importantly, we're going to arm you with practical neuroscience-backed strategies to actually rewire your brain. We're going to shift from automated, lazy habits to conscious, goal-directed action. Section 1. The Trap of Fleeting Desire. Okay, think about this for a second. Why do we so often want things intensely? Like, we literally feel a burning need to start a new project or a new diet, only to completely lose our motivation the second things get difficult. Well, to answer that, we have to look under the hood at the mesolimbic dopamine pathway. Fleeting desire, which ancient texts called tanha or craving, is powered by a very specific neurochemical engine. Deep within your brain, an area called the VTA fires dopamine straight into the nucleus accumbens, also known as the ventral striatum. Listen, this pathway specializes in wanting. It lights up the moment you see a cue predicting a quick reward. It's highly reactive, incredibly volatile, and heavily biased toward immediate, short-term hedonic pleasure. The real trap here? This system operates by deterministic rules. It creates a massive urge to act, an incentive salience, even if your logical brain knows, without a doubt, that the action isn't actually good for you in the long run. It's basically a short circuit for instant gratification.
Section 2. Adhitthana, Neuroscience of Determination.
So, to truly understand the flip side of this, real, gritty determination, we can look to the archetypical example of Adhitthana. This brings us to the historical account of the ascetic Gautama's resolution under the Bodhi tree. It was a vow not to rise, even if his bones were scattered, until his ultimate goal was achieved. Now, I know that sounds intense, but this isn't just about white-knuckling through life with brute willpower. It is a foundational cognitive state. It's a fixedness of purpose that acts like a solid rock, completely unmoved by the shifting winds of distraction or physical discomfort. It represents a complete fundamental shift in the relationship you have with your own internal experience. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates the vital contrast we're talking about today. Look at the difference. While fleeting desire is triggered externally, highly volatile, and constantly chasing short-term hedonic pleasure, Adhitthana is anchored deeply in internal values. It remains unshakable. Even when there is absolutely no immediate reward in sight, it pursues what we call eudaimonic fulfillment, meaning purpose, self-realization. Where desire is just an automatic, knee-jerk reaction from your ventral striatum, Adhitthana is a conscious, model-based intention governed by your highly evolved prefrontal cortex.
Section 3. The aMCC, Seat of Will.
Right, so if Adhitthana is the psychological software, where exactly does it run in our biological hardware? It runs right through the Anterior Mid-Cingulate Cortex, or the aMCC. You can think of this brain region as a critical communication hub. It integrates data from your autonomic nervous system, your dopamine reward pathways, and your complex planning centers up in the prefrontal cortex. It essentially functions as your brain's allostatic controller. It's wild, actually. When scientists electrically stimulated this specific area in awake patients, the patients reported feeling an immediate sense of challenge. They described it as feeling like they were driving straight into a storm, but coupled with a profound internal determination to push through it anyway. The aMCC literally encodes the cost of effort required to obtain a goal. It calculates the friction and says, yeah, let's go anyway.
Now here's where it gets really applicable to us. The crucial point is that the physical structure of your aMCC directly correlates with your capacity for effort. Let's look at the data. Notice how superagers, these are older adults who manage to maintain youthful cognitive performance well into old age, they actually have a physically larger aMCC. Elite athletes, they have a highly connected aMCC. Conversely, when you look at populations struggling with severe apathy or reduced impulse control, like in cases of severe depression or pre-diabetic obesity, the aMCC shows significantly reduced activity, or even a smaller volume. Your literal ability to tolerate physical and emotional strain without giving up on your goals lives right here in this chunk of tissue.
And guys, this is by far the most empowering part of the neuroscience we're discussing today. As highlighted in discussions between neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman and David Goggins, the aMCC is highly plastic. What does that mean? It means that doing work you actively resist, forcing yourself to do the exact things you really don't want to do, causes this exact brain area to grow. It gets bigger. It is the literal, biological manifestation of building your willpower. But, and this is a big but, be warned, if you stop investing in difficult tasks, if you take the easy road too often, the aMCC will shrink right back down. It requires consistent, deliberate effort to maintain. It's a muscle. Use it or lose it.
Section 4. Rewiring for lasting resolve.
So, how do we take all this neurobiology and actually use it to conquer our automated lazy habits? We have to use something called executive inhibition. And there are two flavors here, reactive and proactive. Reactive inhibition is exactly what it sounds like. It's hitting the brakes after a cue has already triggered you. It uses a rapid subcortical network to send a panicked stop command. It's exhausting. But proactive inhibition, that's what we really want to cultivate. This is preparatory. Your lateral prefrontal cortex actually anticipates the need to stop a bad habit before the trigger even happens. You establish a stopping goal and hold it in your working memory, giving you that sweet, top-down control over your impulses before they even start.
To build up this proactive control, and frankly, to protect our prefrontal cortex from getting totally fatigued, we use these 4 practical protocols. First, environmental design. Shape your surroundings so that your good habits are the absolute path of least resistance. Make the bad habits annoying to do. Second, implementation intentions. Use simple if-then statements, like, if I feel stressed, then I will take 3 deep breaths. This brilliant little hack pre-programs your basal ganglia, totally bypassing the need for constant, exhausting willpower. Third, the 2-minute rule. Shrink any daunting task down to just 2 minutes. This sneaks you right past your amygdala, which loves to perceive massive goals as stressful threats. And fourth, practice delayed gratification intentionally. This directly strengthens your aMCC.
Finally, we need to make sure you don't completely burn out during this rewiring process. That's where we integrate what we call the mudita protocol. Mudita is an ancient contemplative practice of sympathetic joy. In hardcore neuroscience terms, your brain is essentially a comparison engine driven by reward prediction errors. If you wait to celebrate until the very end of a massive month-long goal, your dopamine levels are going to crash hard during the execution phase. You'll feel miserable. But by actively rejoicing in small milestones, by truly consciously feeling joy for your own micro-progress, you generate a steady, stable hum of tonic dopamine. This stabilizes your motivation, prevents that dreaded dopamine crash burnout, and beautifully consolidates your new habits into your neural architecture.
Section 5. Summary and references.
The whole essence of our explainer today is beautifully captured right here in this shift. We are consciously moving our behavioral locus of control away from the ventral striatum and those reactive, spiking hits of mesolimbic dopamine, away from fleeting hedonic desire. Instead, we are transferring the steering wheel over to the aMCC and the prefrontal cortex. This right here is the physiological realization of Adhitthana. It's aligning our neurochemical drive with our deepest eudaimonic values to sustain an unshakable, rock-solid resolve.
Looking back at our learning objectives, we've covered some serious ground today. We have successfully differentiated the transient, flaky nature of desire from the powerful fixedness of Adhitthana. We've mapped out exactly how the aMCC acts as the literal, physical seat of your will and how it grows when we face resistance head-on. And we've explored highly practical protocols like implementation intentions and the mudita practice to rewire our brain's underlying habit loops.
For those of you looking to geek out further and deepen your understanding, here are the core references cited in today's explainer. The integration of ancient psychological frameworks with cutting-edge modern neuroscience and clinical systems research provides an incredibly robust map for human transformation. It's fascinating stuff.
I'm going to leave you with one final thought to carry with you today. Take a real, honest moment and ask yourself, are you just relying on the fleeting, unreliable dopamine of desire to get you through your goals? Or are you finally ready to lean into the resistance, do the hard work, and physically grow your brain's seat of the will? The choice and the neuroplasticity is entirely yours.
Thank you so much for joining me today on Bodhi Unified Flow. Until next time, keep optimizing your mind and amplifying your performance.